Right. I'm McKenna Cooper. This is my story of how I came to know Christ. Before I came to know Christ, I have been in church my whole life. My parents brought me when I was a baby. I have been to all the VBSs. I have been to all the Sunday schools. I knew all these stories in the Bible like the back of my hand, but I never truly came to understand what it meant to follow Christ. I never really felt like a pull to come to Christ when I was a child. And as I grew up and as I became an adult, basically, it showed. I was a very selfish person. I was a very angry person. I was totally like a really mean gossip girl, kind of. And I was actually a little bit miserable. I also grew up a lot as a part of the LGBT community. I had realized when I was younger that I had feelings for both boys and girls. And part of growing up, I was surrounded by a lot of Christians who I felt were very hateful towards the LGBT community. And I was very angry with the community a lot because I felt like I was surrounded by people who were like, oh my gosh, you gay people, you're so disgusting and you're sinners and you're all going to go to hell. And as me as a young person, it made such a horrible impression for me. And I was so angry with the community. And I was continuing to go to church because that was required by my parents. But I was just so hateful the whole time. I cannot express how hateful I was. I just continued to live in the church community as was required of me by my parents with so much anger. So come about 2015, I got to my senior year of high school. This is emotional for me. So it was February 2015, sitting around on the anniversary. I ended up getting really sick. I ended up in and out of ERs. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't drink water without being in severe pain, and the doctors could never really explain it, like what had happened to me. I lost 150 pounds over the course of 6 months, and I was so sick. I missed months of my senior year of high school, and it literally just came overnight out of nowhere. And I struggle to this day with PTSD from that, and I struggle with depression and an eating disorder. And back then, I had nothing. I wanted to blame something. I wanted to blame someone. I was like, obviously, I can't blame anybody around me. I can't even blame myself. So this God that at the time I was like, I really don't believe in this God, but clearly he did it to me. And so I spent a lot of time just completely and totally just angry with God. And I would pray, but I would pray not very nice things because I was trying to blame somebody. And I felt like I had been punished for something. But come one night when I was at church, the youth pastor, he shared a very specific message. He shared a very specific message with me that was just the love of Christ, just purely the love of Christ. And for me as a Christian, or well, not a Christian, but me as this person who could only see hatred in God, this was astounding to me. He reminded me that we are children of God. You know, he holds us in his hand because he cares for us and he loves us. And that, you know, he wants the best for us and that we should walk with him because that's, you know, we are his children. And I remember just being so blown away by this because I had formulated so much hate in my mind. And so that night I ended up going to him, and I explained to him what I was feeling about, you know, how angry I was that I had been sick and I felt that God had done this to me. And I mean, he hadn't, it happened. But ultimately I have learned over the years that this thing that has happened to me has pulled me to Christ. If I had not had, you know, been praying, if I hadn't have been still going to church, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so I was saved that night. I came to Christ that night. And from then on, my life, I mean, it did change. It was a slow change, because I didn't automatically drop all my sins just because I got saved. So I had very good friends who worked with me to help me learn, and I started really diving into my Bible. I prayed, and I was still angry when I prayed, and I felt guilty about it, and my friend was like, I feel like God would rather you pray to him and tell him how you're really feeling than not pray at all. And so I took that advice. I would pray and I would say, I'm angry that this happened to me. I was still angry about the community because I was still struggling with homosexual feelings. And over time, I began to feel a lot more at peace. I began to feel thankful for what happened to me because I got to be able to walk with Christ. And now I am so, so unbelievably thankful for his love, because I don't know, it's hard to describe how wonderful this feeling is, what a feeling of joy you get when you're walking with Christ, because he takes care of you, he holds you in your hand, you are his child. And it's a lot. It's a lot of joy. It's a lot of wonderful, wonderful feelings. And over time, I have come to realize that what I was doing, was sinful. I had to die to self. And I won't say I wanted to, but it was a lot easier for me to die to self when I was walking with him. And to this day, I still, and I occasionally have those feelings, but I don't know, it's a lot easier to ignore because I'm able to walk with him. My name's McKenna Cooper, and Jesus is my Lord.